All right, good to go. Do we want to just go through the different questions and?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So number one, it was the GDP, and the majority of us said B. So GDP is used to monitor the performance of the overall economy and is the single best measure of a society's economic well-being. And then the other is used to monitor the performance of the overall economy, but is not the single best measure.
This one was one that confused me because on slide 34 of the PowerPoint, it specifically says that it's not the most accurate thing. Let me see.
It says it's not the most accurate, but in the reading, it says it is the single best.
Yeah, that's where I got my answer from the reading.
That's where I was confused because I was like, I'm not sure. So I have a big question mark next to it and the slide number because I thought I'd rather discuss it and clarify.
Yeah.
than to just pass it up. Okay, perfect. I'll write that down. I'm so nervous about this exam. Okay, keep going.
I'm a little nervous too, so I'm glad I'm not the only one.
I wish we wouldn't have had new content this week. That's the one thing that's really got me is the new content.
So I'm taking both micro and macro at the same time. And in my other economics class, there's nothing due this week except for the test.
Right.
Yeah, I know.
And I wish the class format was the same, you know?
Yeah, it's hard when you have all of your normal work plus an exam to get ready for.
Well, and I have it like that in every class this week. So like statistics is the same thing. Like we have an additional lesson on top, and it's of course when my husband's out of town. It's fine. I'm just scrambling a little bit, doing it.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for the clarification. I've got a few that have question marks, and so that way if I come across one, I might ask you guys some questions.
All right, the next one was number 2. So if we look at that, the majority of us got C, one of us got D. So C reads, according to the circular flow diagram, GDP can be computed as either the revenue firms received from the sales of goods and services or as payments made to the factory's production. What are the questions that we have on number 2?
Did I get this one wrong? I have it down as C. I think. Oh, all three of us had the same answer.
So for me, number 2, because GDP is either income or expenses, it can be read as both. That's why C for me is the answer, because it's saying that you can either have it as income, the revenue from the sales, or as expenses, what you had to pay to make the production, Whereas D says that one of them is not that.
Yeah, because it would be either side of it, right? Of the circular diagram, it's either the left side or the right side. Is that the way it works?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we all agree. Becky, did you have a reason why you were thinking D or?
What happened to Becky?
We lost her? Oh, we must have lost her. Was she there originally?
I think so. I don't see the invite button. There it is. I'm going to see if I can invite her right now. I mean, when she gets back in, we can go back to that problem if we want to.
Okay.
Okay. Number 7.
Hey, hi.
Did we lose you, or did I not add you? What happened?
Are we all here?
We are all here.
All right, and it looks like it's live too, so it looks like we're recording.
Yep, we're good to go.
Yay, good job.
All right, so we were just discussing number 2.
Number 2, I sat and struggled with for probably a half an hour trying to figure this one out. So I don't know if I'm right or wrong on this one, because it looks like am I the odd one out? Yeah, I'm the odd one out on this one. And where I came up with this is I really sat and studied that flow chart and pondered on the concepts of both income and expenditures. So income would be money being paid from the firm to obtain the labor. So that's wages, right? Rent, things like that. Mm-hmm. And then the other side of it is the expenditures, which are the households buying the goods. So I don't know if revenue actually ends up in the calculation.
So I remember when we were talking about GDP, like in the notes, or I guess like in the textbook, it was saying that it's both forms of, it's either computed as income or as expenses.
Yes.
Either way, it's going to add up because the expenses are going to equal the income, because like you said, the flow chart, someone else's expenses is the income of somebody else.
Right.
So I think that's why we put, what was it, C? That way, either or, because D says that it's this and not that.
I just don't think revenue is the same thing as expenditure, because I think expenditure is the household going back to the firm, as opposed to the other side of the square, where it flows from the goods and services back to the firm. So I think it's into the households and then out of the households, really is the way I think about it. And honestly, I was reading C. I think it says either, and I think it's the same thing. So either revenue firms receive from the sale of goods and services, or as revenues they receive from the sale of goods and services. So I'm like, what the heck does that mean? It's like the same thing.
That's a typo. When you actually look at the quiz, it's changed. C on the actual quiz says can be computed as either the revenue firms receive from sales of goods and services, or as payments made to factors of production.
Ah, see, that makes all the difference in the world. I'm still confused about expenditures and revenue.
So in that question though, so C, like we look at the second half as payments made to factors of production. That like, let's use, so I work for Fort Knox safes, they make safes. So like the expenditures or the payments for the factors of production include the supplies, like the expense for supplies, wages, etc. So all of that would be an expense for Fort Knox towards the GDP. From receiving the sales of the safes being bought, that is going to match exactly what they put out. Which is why I chose C. I don't know if that clarifies, if I'm making any sense, but
yeah, that one just really messed me up, because I had to get my box out and try to figure out, you know, at what points on the flow does it actually count as GDP? Does it count as GDP in every quadrant, or is it just in the wages that go from the firms to the market, or market for production, which is basically paying the wages, and then the spending that goes from the households back into the market? So that's where I was confused.
I think it's just the two. Basically, it's the wages that go back as spending, or it's the expenditures that go back to the households as wages, if that makes sense. It's just those two ends.
Right. So does revenue ever count in the firm's revenue? I think that's where I was confused, because it's income to the households, or is it income to the households and to the firms?
I think it's income to spending. The spending becomes the revenue and the wages. Does that make sense?
Right.
And so it's kind of just like that. And so actually they all are factors of GDP is what it in the lecture. I thought it really helped a lot. I'm going to go back and watch it again before taking the exam. But I really thought that her lecture this week, because it took the PowerPoint and just kind of broke it down a little bit more. Right. And I thought that her explanation was a little bit easier to understand of the flow chart for that exact reason. Because she kind of approached exactly this, you know, that revenue going into the firm is spending coming from the households.
Right.
And that wages going out is income to the
right. So does it all count is the question. or they're just certain parts of it that count? That's where I was really
kind of opposite sides of the equation. So the wages and rent should equal the income coming in, and the spending going out should equal the revenue coming in.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
The two different opposite quadrants.
So kind of like your top and your bottom. I've got my sad little thing here. I was going to say our Twitters. So your bottom parts here should be equal between our markups for products and production, and up here for goods and services. It should be equal on each side. And so that's kind of in my head, and I could be wrong, but that's the way I thought of it. If that helps at all, I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go back and double check that. That's why I just got messed up. First of all, the wording on the question was weird.
The wording was weird.
And then trying to figure out which quadrants actually qualify as contributing to GDP. Okay. All right. I'm good.
All right. Okay, the next one that we disagreed on was number 7. So the majority of us got C, and I got D. So I'll explain my position, and then I can be told I'm wrong. So when I was looking at this, like what contributes to GDP was the income. So for example, I took that the farmer made $10, and then Smith's made another $21.50 from selling all the other 5 pounds pecans that they bought originally. So the $21.50 plus the $10 that the farmer made added up to $31.50, which is why I put D.
Yeah, but it specifically says you don't count it towards GDP if it's a, what is that called? Intermediate. Like if it's a middle product.
It's an intermediate good.
Okay, so just the final products?
Right.
Gotcha. Okay, because I was like, why is everyone else getting that and I'm getting this? What detail am I missing out? Okay.
Yeah, it's the final product versus the pecans that the farmer sells to Smith's. That's the intermediate because that's a commodity that they use to make their product. So it doesn't count until it's part of the final product.
Okay.
So it's what, the $8 for the canned, and then
the $4.50 per pound for 3 pounds.
So it's the $13.50 plus $8 for the $21.50.
Okay, the $21.50 of C. Okay. All right.
Perfect.
Sounds good. And then the next question was 8. So the majority of us got C, and one of us got D.
And this one's kind of taking into account the same thing, right? Like we're not going to count the corn itself of the 3 million. Mm-hmm. We just count the cereal of the 8 million. The sales doesn't really matter because it's all within the same thing, and the unsold 1 million doesn't really. It just stays in things. So the production, it would be the production itself, right, of the 8 million.
It's the 8 million, and 7 goes to consumption and 1 goes to investment because it's inventory. Yeah.
Inventory.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think the difference is just counting the intermediate good.
Okay.
Which gets you up to 11, which has that 3 million.
All right. Number 16. We all got different answers on this.
The way the question was worded was really deceptive because you have the second year first, you have 2010 first, and then 2009 after that. And then the next sentence, then the next sentence, it's a matter of just keeping the years straight.
Yeah. So the difference between 2009 and 2010 is that it did go down from 100 to 85, which is why I ended up putting C, which was that the real output fell and the price level rose.
But that's the thing that they're giving us is the nominal GDP, not the real. So we have to calculate the real.
Oh.
Because the GDP deflator tells us if the prices went up and down, and the real GDP tells us if the quantities went up or down.
Right.
So you have to calculate the real GDP to tell that what the real output is.
So from the nominal with the deflator, how did you calculate the real?
I did the formula backwards. Basically, I put the deflator equals 85, and then put my real GDP as my X. Basically.
Okay.
Does that make
so
sense?
is that how you got D? That both of them come? Okay.
Because the real GDP actually, what was it? Did it go up? Yeah, real GDP was 120, rose from 125 to 135 is what I calculated.
Okay, that makes sense.
But I could be completely wrong. What else? What are other answers? Am I the only one that got that?
I thought they both fell.
I thought they both fell as well, but I didn't figure the real, and that's what I think I was missing was that equation. So I don't necessarily think you're on the wrong track, Sonia.
Real. I just looked at the deflator and how it was less in the second year.
See, but the deflator only tells us what the prices does. It doesn't tell us what the quantity does. The quantity, the real GDP is what tells us what the quantity does. And I forget where I read that.
Right. So okay, so this is the nominal. Okay, so this includes the higher prices. The GDP we're given. Okay, yeah. So we have to calculate the real. Okay. So you got for the real GDP for the second year is 135?
Yes.
Okay. And the base year was 125 for 2009. Okay. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I can show you my math if you guys want to see it. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be great. I'm sitting here figuring as we go as well. So.
That was a cute sound. I find my button on share my screen. I've got like too many windows open is my problem.
I've got like a gazillion things open. I've got a whole window for every class. So it's like one for marketing, one for this, one for the other. And then all the assignments are like a gazillion tabs.
Let me know if you can see my screen. I'll show you what I did. And I don't know. I mean, I could be completely wrong, but this is what I was thinking. So I put my deflator on one side of the equation and have it equal to the 115 divided by R times 100.
Right.
And so I just kind of, did the algebra. And so then I came up with my R equals 135.
And your answer is it your answer B then?
It's C,
yes.
It looks like. The output fell, but the prices rose. Okay. Thank you guys for saving me from myself.
Oh, wait, so you still on number...
Wait.
No, so the answer is B then, right, on 16?
Because the output rose and the price fell because the deflator is 85.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was going to say, it has to be one with the price falling.
Because that's obvious, but then...
Okay, gotcha. Okay, yeah, I got to get it straight as to which one each is measuring.
It's so confusing.
Yeah, because the real goes up, that means that the output rose.
Yes.
Because it takes out of the calculation the price change.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, and the deflator went down. That means that the price went down. Okay.
And I don't know if you guys mind, but 17 is one that gave me a lot of trouble. Is there anyone willing to walk me through that one?
So hard. I just copied someone answer. That was the last one I put in on the Google
I mean,
Doc.
I have a huge question mark because I'm like, I have no idea.
I sat here for 45 minutes trying to do it. I'm done.
Oh, I'm so glad I'm not the only one, Cameron, because I was dying. Okay.
I think I have a whole page of notes on this one.
I went back in the reading. I tried to do everything. I was like, how can I do this?
Where is 17? Oh, it goes on 2 pages. I'm like, where? I'm losing it.
Yeah, because you have to calculate the deflator and the inflation rate.
Yes.
Okay. So it wants to know the inflation rate from 2010 to 2011. So you have to calculate both of those. You have to calculate the deflator and then the inflation. You have to do the deflator for both years.
So with 2010, because it's the base year, is the deflator always going to be 100?
100, yes.
Oh, okay. Hold on just a second. Hold on a second. It says that the base year is 2013. Is that another typo?
Yes.
That really threw me.
That's what threw me. 13 was the base year and not.
Yeah, 13 is the base year. So you kind of work backwards.
Sonia, is there a way to lock your screen so I can look at your calculations so it stays up?
Sure. Is it not up right now?
We have to be quiet.
Oh, now it is. But when we talk, it goes away.
You can change it on your settings in your Google Chrome, I think, to make it so it doesn't when you go. I forget where that's at. There's some way to make it so it doesn't when we talk, but here, I can upload my document to the Google Drive if that helps too.
Actually, that would be great. I need to know how to work through it step by step because I mean, I'm the same as Cameron. I worked on this specific problem for over 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And between noise and stuff, I'm like, I'm just going to have to ask somebody.
I circled that one and like on my list of answers, it's just blank. I was just like,
Yeah, I calculated the deflator first. And then I did the inflation calculation from there. And I came up with 38.06. And that's using 2013 as the base year.
Yeah, and that's what the 38.2 is what I came up with because that was the closest, I think.
Okay. If you upload that, I'll look at your math and see if I can work a similar problem.
Yep, I uploaded my whole document so you can see all my crazy thinking.
Awesome.
It looks like it's a lot better than mine. Mine's all chicken scratched and crossed through, and
I've got dots everywhere and like circles and scribbles all over the place. I'm like, it's just a mess. I changed my mind. Like I'll go back. I'll be like, no, that's not it. And I should work in pencil. That's what I should learn from this.
All right. Yeah. So we got 18, 19, and 20 to knock out real quick. So on 18, it was either A or B. And was it me that disagreed or no? So on 18, the inflation was either 25%, and output grew or did not grow. Those were the answers that we got.
Oh, see, I'm the only one that has I'm the oddball. Again, this was one where I had to calculate the real because output is your real GDP, not your nominal. Mm-hmm. Am I wrong with that?
Well, to calculate inflation, all you need is the deflator, isn't it?
Yeah. So the inflation was easy, but it was the output. The output was the hard part.
Well, can you assume if it's a positive number, the deflator is a positive number, that it grew as opposed to a negative number? I don't know.
No, because the deflator has to do with price.
Price. Yeah, so the deflator, if it's going up and it's like higher every time, that means the inflation rate, like the prices are going up.
Right. So you've got to calculate. Yeah, you've got to calculate the real to be able to determine the output. Okay. And I did not do that. I just calculated the inflation and said, hey, it's a positive number. It must have grown. So
what's weird is I got halfway through the calculations for the real and stopped, and I don't know why. I was like, I was working on getting the real, but apparently I stopped.
Mm-hmm. And I didn't even think about that. I said, I just have to calculate.
I just saw nominal GDP went up. Okay, good enough for me. Whoops.
That's how I thought. I did the inflation calculation.
Well, I was just like, the nominal GDP increase outweighs the increase in the deflator, so I figured that output.
Yeah, and the reading does say that underneath GDP deflator, it says the GDP deflator, which reflects only the prices of goods and services.
Right. So it doesn't tell us what happened to the output, right?
Yes. And that's why we have to do the real.
So I know this sounds like a dumb question. So if real gives us output, GDP deflator gives us prices. What does nominal give us again?
Isn't it
just
current?
how much money?
Just money. Okay.
Yeah, it's just the current. It's the current prices and amounts.
I know I have it in my notes somewhere, but I'm going to go back through and restructure my brain, apparently.
My poor little note card for the exam is going to be all full of this stuff. My one little 3x5 card, because this stuff.
I'm going to write so tiny.
Oh, yeah. I can't believe we're having an exam on this by the end of the week. So
I did my note card in Word so I could have my font be really small and clear.
Oh, you are smart.
There you go. That's good.
You can also do little screen prints from your textbook in there if you want an example, and then you can resize it. So just saying, that's what I did. I just formatted my Word document to a 3x5 and did that.
I just wrote it in big letters on my thing. Thank you, Sonia. And I'm squaring it and starring it. Don't forget, do it in Word, because my handwriting gets bad, So
yeah, and you're sitting there staring at your note card, trying to figure out what in the world you wrote in the middle of the test.
And you're like, well, good thing I wrote this.
There you go. I'll help you guys.
Thank you, Sonia.
Okay,
so 19.
So did we all decide on 18?
What was that?
I think you're right. I'm going to go back and refigure it, but it did look like that was the direction mine was going, but I'm going to refigure that one as well. Just that way.
I think that's probably that A is correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we know that it's 25%. It's a matter of what the input did or the output did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I came up with the real on both of those years was 2,500.
Okay.
Okay. All right. And I think on 19, I was the only one out because I didn't read the per person.
Okay.
So I know it's C.
And then what about 20?
And this one, I wasn't sure that I was waffling between C and D because it's not all legal transactions. It's includes also illegal transactions, but I guess it doesn't say only includes. Because D was kind of like just a vague statement that could or couldn't be right.
Yeah, and I didn't see anywhere in our reading that talked about this, so I Googled it.
That's what I did. I was going to say, I didn't see it anywhere. I looked all over the place.
Yeah, same here.
And it was almost
when you Google it. Yeah, when you Google it, the dictionary says it's the part that's unrecorded or untaxed by the government.
Yeah.
Yeah. And since it doesn't say only includes, otherwise legal, so it's just includes, which it does include that, but it also includes other activities that are illegal. So I think it's questions. Yeah.
Okay.
Again, thank you guys for saving me from myself.
That's why we're a group.
Yep. All right.
Perfect. Guys, thank you so much. Sonia, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Good luck on the test, everyone.
Yeah. All right. So what do I need to do to get the link and post this in the discussion board?
Yeah. Make sure you list it as private and not unlisted. You know how it gives you those options of public or private.
If you do private, your teacher can't see it. You have to do unlisted.
Unlisted,
yeah. Not private. But it should have, when you go back, it should make a list, and this one should be at the very bottom of that list. And if you click just the underlined part, it'll take you to the link, and you just copy and paste it.
Yeah.
And then you just have to put our group number and who was here, and that's it.
Yep.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you very much.
A group leader for next week, guys.
Do we?
I think we've all had turns. Okay, I think it goes back to me then, right? Because Camry's not here and Ashley's should be back with us next week. So I can do that. I just have to make a note of it.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.